Hi everyone, welcome to Family Alphabet Storytime. My name is Katrina and I work at Martinsburg-Berkeley Library. And each week we're going to be featuring several letters of the alphabet. Our first story this week is called The Blue Apple. Aaron and Alvin are two worms that love apples. They might look a little bit like this. They especially love the squishy ones that fall on the ground. The squishy parts are yummy and sweet to eat. It doesn't matter if the apples are red, green, or even blue. Wait a minute. Blue? They've never seen a blue apple before. Aaron looks up into the branches of the apple tree. He asks his brother, "Do you see any blue apples up there?" Look carefully. Alvin looks up. No blue apples. Where did that come from? Alvin decides to try and take a bite of the blue apple. Yuck! It's hard and has no taste. Here's what the blue apple might look like. Aaron looks more carefully and finds a small hole in the bottom of the apple. He crawls inside. Aaron finds the inside is warm and squishy. Unlike the soil he's used to, the squishiness fills in his tunnels behind him. He tries to taste some of the squishy stuff, but his mouth isn't big enough to bite it. Here's what some of that squishy stuff might look like. So Aaron decides to go back to the hole and leave this strange blue apple. Alvin is really worried for Aaron. Did the blue apple eat his brother? Just as Alvin has decided to go in after his brother, Aaron comes out of the hole and back into the grass. Alvin stares at Aaron for a long time. The sun was shining through the leaves of the apple trees, and a small ray of sunlight was perfectly shining on Aaron. He was shiny. There were shiny sparkles all over Aaron. Aaron looked at himself too, and the brothers couldn't figure out what happened. At that moment, there were loud noises coming toward them. The brothers decided to burrow down into the soil to hide. Alvin hears a voice yell, "I found it! I found my blue apple with the sparkle slime in it!" Another voice says, "Great, Alina! Come on, Mom's calling us. We have to go." From that day on, Aaron was sparkly when the sun was shining just right. Alvin didn't lose his brother again. There's what he might have looked like. Our second story today is called Bears Don't Give Up. Beatrice and Benzonia are two bears that love honey. Here's what they might look like. They love it when it runs down their chins and gets stuck in their fur so they can have a snack later. Finding honey can be hard, and sometimes they settle for berries. Beatrice found a bush full of blackberries and called her sister Benzonia over to share. So blackberries look like this. And they might look a little bit like this when they're eating them. When they were almost done with the bush, they noticed that there were a few fuzzy honeybees buzzing around. Benzonia suggested to her sister that they try to follow the bees and see where they keep their honey. Beatrice wasn't sure, but wanted honey, so she agreed. The sisters had a hard time trying to follow the bees. They had no idea if they were following the same bees they started out following. They knew they were in the right place, though, because they saw a bunch of honeybees going in and out of a hole in a large tree. That might look a little bit like this. They put their noses to the air, and they could smell the sweet, gooey goodness that they had been searching for. Beatrice looked up, reached up, but couldn't get her paws close enough to the hole for honey. She sat at the bottom of the tree and snorted, "We'll never get any honey. We are too short. I give up." Benzonia looked at her and growled, "You don't need to be a grump and give up so easily. We just need to figure out a plan. If we work together, we can get that honey." Beatrice wasn't sure. This looked hard. Her tummy was full of berries, and now she just wanted to take a nap. Benzonia sat beside her sister, nudged her in the shoulder with her nose and said, "I'm sorry, but you always give up too easily when I know you are just as smart as I am. How about you stand on my back and see if you can reach the hole?" Beatrice sighed, told her sister she would try, and climbed onto her sister's back. She reached up the trunk of the tree, and to her surprise, she could reach into the hole. When she pulled her paw out, it was covered in sweet, gooey goodness. Yum! She licked her paw, put it in the hole again for more honey. The bees were not happy. She moved her head quickly to get away from them, but lost her balance. Down she toppled to the ground. At least she landed in a pile of soft leaves. The sisters laughed and snorted. Beatrice finished licking her paw and stood so Benzonia could get some honey too. After their snack of honey, the bears found a cozy cave and snuggled in for a nap. As she was falling asleep, Beatrice whispered in Benzonia's ear, "Thank you for not letting me give up. That honey was worth it." Benzonia yawned and said, "That's what sisters are for." Our next story is called The Cormorants and the Light. Calvin and Cornelia are two cormorants who love to eat fish. Here's what they might look like. Here's one flying. They spend their summers at their favorite place, a lighthouse surrounded by water. They stand out against the white sides of the lighthouse with their dark feathers, but they are not alone. This is a favorite place for their cormorant friends too. Calvin's favorite things to do is float in the water around the lighthouse and wait for fish. Cornelia loves to fly to the nearby island and look for frogs. Here's what their lighthouse might look like. Sometimes she finds interesting treasures. Cornelia has a special place in a tree that she keeps her treasures. Each of the 4 years she has been coming to this lighthouse, she puts new treasures in the hole. Plus, she adds a few sticks to the nest she started in the tree, too. Calvin tells her that she doesn't need to build a nest on the island, that the one they usually build on the lighthouse is just fine. He wants to build one soon so she can lay eggs and have chicks. But this year feels different. There's something going on at the lighthouse. People are coming out there and looking around. Sure, boats have passed by before, but none have stopped. Calvin is happy with his fishing and figures that the people will stop coming. Cornelia isn't sure. She heard one of the people say that they are going to clean things up at the lighthouse. She heard another say that the birds need to go and find another place to stay. Just thinking about this makes her add some extra stuff to the nest in the tree. She's tried to make Calvin understand, even looking straight into his blue-green eyes and telling him what she has heard and seen. He thinks they are safe at the lighthouse and that will never change. On the island, there are animals and people. Cornelia sighs and heads back to the lighthouse. Another boat is there with people climbing up the ladder. They have shovels and tools. She finds Calvin perched on a handrail near the top of the light. Cornelia lands next to Calvin and says, "They're serious this time. They brought tools. People built this lighthouse and they want it back." But they left it to us for years, Calvin argues. Why now? Why do they want it back now? Cornelia looks at the people trying to get a larger door open. I don't know, but I heard from my cousin Claudia that they have been doing the same thing further north with the striped lighthouse where she used to have her nest. Calvin watches people shooing other cormorants off of the main deck. There's noise inside the lighthouse. Suddenly, there are people coming close to Calvin and Cornelia. They take off from the railing. Cornelia tells Calvin to follow her. She leads him to her treasure tree. He finds that he actually likes it, and they decide to have their family there. They fly back to the lighthouse sometimes to see the changes. Next year, when they return, they stop at the lighthouse. It has a fresh coat of paint. It looks blinding next to their dark feathers. She and Calvin head to the place they've shared with their family and friends on the island. Cornelia has not told Calvin about her treasures, so she waits until he's out fishing and also finding materials to repair their nest to take a good look at them. She uses her hooked beak to fish out one special gold one. So, you can see in the pictures of the hooked beak. Stories passed down in her family have told her of the time when people used to take special care of that lighthouse before it was left to the cormorants. Now they are doing that again. She wants to share a treasure. Cornelia flies to the lighthouse with her gold treasure. She sees a place where her treasure will be safe until the people can find it and carefully places the small gold object. She perches on the railing for a minute before a person comes. The sun glints off the gold object, and as she flies back to her nest, she hears, "Wow, look at this! It's a button from an old lighthouse keeper's uniform. How did this get out here?" Our next story is called Dear to Be Different. Daisy and Delilah have been friends since they were fawns. They first met when Daisy's mom, Doris, was showing her plants in the woods that are good to eat. They might live in a place that looks a little bit like this. While Daisy munched, her mom went to see her sister that was nearby. Daisy heard some fawns making fun of another fawn for how she looked. Daisy thought that was mean, but she was afraid if she went over to help, they'd make fun of her too. She had a strange patch of white that was shaped funny, and she didn't want them to point it out. Daisy munched some more, but she knew that she would want someone to help her if it was happening to her. So Daisy walked over to the group of fawns and saw something she had never seen before. A white fawn with red eyes. She had heard that there were a few in these woods, but never thought she'd see one. She smiled at the white fawn and said to her loud enough for everyone to hear, "Wow, we've never met. What's your name?" The whole group became silent. The white fawn smiled back and said, "My name is Delilah. What is your name?" "My name is Daisy. Would you like to come over here and share these yummy plants my mom showed me?" Delilah walked through the group to follow Daisy. One of the others called out, "You're strange. You should roll in some mud so you can look like the rest of us." Here's what these two friends look like. Well, might have looked like. Daisy led Delilah to the plants. Delilah asked, "Why did you help me? I don't look like you. I don't even know you." Daisy nibbled and thought for a moment before saying, "I don't like it when they treat me like that. So I decided that I should do something. It doesn't matter if you look like me. No one should be treated unkindly. Plus, I think you have a beautiful coat of white fur. I figured sooner or later they would have rolled you in some mud if you liked it or not." It was Delilah's turn to nibble plants for a moment. She said something so quiet that Daisy almost didn't hear it. "Thank you. You're the kindest fawn I ever met." Daisy's mother came over and Delilah looked worried. Daisy introduced her new friend to her mom. Doris thought Delilah was great and was very proud of Daisy for helping. Delilah asked if Daisy was named for the flower. Doris nudged Daisy in the side with her nose. That is when Delilah noticed the odd white mark on her new friend. It was in the shape of a daisy.